So let's talk about the pitfalls of feedback, because there are many. And I think one of the most common that you and I probably both hear in the work that we do is this idea of, I'm gonna say the wrong thing. There's a lot of fear around feedback. I'm gonna say the wrong thing, it's gonna be received in the wrong way.
They'll take it personally.
Right? All of that. And so oftentimes a natural reaction to that is just to avoid it completely, because you're afraid you're gonna screw it up and just make it worse. So what would you say to a person in that situation, or maybe with that mindset, to redirect in a more productive way?
Yeah, so that's the fear, that I'm gonna say this thing, it's gonna make it worse because I won't do it right, or they're gonna take it the wrong way, etc. And I think you sort of two answers to that, just two aspects there. One, you have to zoom back and say, what's the environment here? Do we have a culture of giving feedback where we know collectively that it is okay and normal to give feedback to each other, right? In an appropriate, timely manner, but that we have a foundation of trust, where you know if I'm giving you feedback, I'm coming from a place of care, right? That I'm invested in your success, that I want you to be. I'm not here to cut you down or criticize you. It's like, I'm invested in your success. And I think that foundation, that sphere has to exist for us so that in our culture and environment, feedback is normal. It's an okay thing. It's seen as positive and productive. So that has to be in place. And secondly, whether you have that culture or not, the way to build that culture is to make sure that when you're going into that conversation, you are framing it appropriately. You're framing it to say, hey, right, I care about you. I care about you as a person, as part of this team, right, as a leader, as an employee, and also I have some feedback for you that I think is getting in your way, that I would love to share with you if you're open to hearing that. I think asking for permission and putting somebody in a space that is receptive, but don't assume that somebody knows that you're giving them feedback, right, without letting them know, I care about you. The purpose of this feedback is to have you be more successful. Like, this is in service of your growth as a leader, as an employee, as part of this team. And so approaching it that way, right, where we ask for permission, frame it up to say, I care about you, are you open to hearing this, right, and put them in that space. I think if you have those things in place, then you don't have to say the right, exact, perfect thing as you're giving feedback, because that person knows you're coming from a place of care and investment in their growth. They're also going to receive it in a more open way, where you're not really going to say just the wrong word the wrong way and it's going to blow up the whole situation, because we know foundationally I'm here invested in you and I care about you, and that puts people in more of a space of being open and receptive. And something else is that when we talk about feedback as a topic, it's a lot to unpack. There's a lot of context there for feedback. So some feedback is from a leader to an employee saying, hey, your behavior is unacceptable. If this doesn't change, your job is at stake. And some feedback is, both of us are leaders in an organization, but I see, as a colleague, I see something that's getting in your way that I think would be helpful for you. And so regardless of the politics or the context of how feedback is given, these ideals are still the same. It's still the same sound thing, that we have to go in with positive intent. We have to be in service of other people's growth, right? That feedback is seen as a positive thing, not as a criticism where I'm trying to make you look bad or cut you down, but I want you to be successful. I want to coach you into greatness instead of just criticize what you're doing wrong. And I think those two things at play, that's what it takes. That when you have a culture of feedback where it's normal and acceptable, and also you're approaching it in a way where you're framing the conversation and putting that person in a receptive space, then you don't have to say it exactly perfectly. That sort of eases the tension for both people to have it be more productive, more effective.